Now, Man of God was a great movie, and I'm glad that somebody finally made this movie. We'll talk about some of the characters, because I think there's some crackheads in this film. First of all, I want to start with that rubbish Pastor BJ. God will punish him wherever he is. That man is one messy witch. Nobody poured sand inside Sam's Gary more than that man, I swear. First of all, there was this scene where Joy was just sitting down waiting for Sam. He saw Joy, he just walked up to her. I started doing amebo for like nobody asked him. So that opening Sam's yash, like, yes, Sam is this, Sam is that, though. You can't date this kind of boy, you. He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. Also, when Joy leaves and marries Pastor Zach, Sam is who was in church every day talking to Pastor BJ, like, you haven't heard from Joy, you. I'm really worried, this and that, and she's okay. He knew really well that she had married Zach and left him, and he said nothing the entire time. Furthermore, he was actually the one that introduced Joy and Pastor Zach. Like, and if you remember that scene, you see how enthusiastic he was. He was like an African mother when they're introducing you to a boy, a good boy from a good home that they want you to marry, right? He was like, oh, Joy, this is Pastor Zach, all the way from Abuja. Oh, yes, Joe, this is our prominent sister, Joy. She's a good girl. But anyway, this brings me to my sweet baby girl, Joy, our sweet little angel. And I will say this, one thing I loved about Joy was that I loved the fact, and I know this sounds really wrong, but I loved the fact that, you know, she left Sam to go and marry this other man without saying anything. She just ghosted him. He just never saw her again after she said she was leaving town, and that was it. I just loved seeing a Nigerian man be on the receiving end of that kind of behavior for once. It felt like restitution in some way. It felt like preparations were being made in just a tiny way, even though I know it's not real. But yeah, Joy was a really sweet character, and you know, of course, she leaves Sam and she goes off and marries Pastor Zach, right? And years later, Sam comes back into the picture, and he's trying to he's trying to get things started again, and she's like, look, Sam, please, I can't. I'm committed to Zach. I love him. He's my husband. I'm committed to him. And when I saw that, I was like, honestly, I love that they put that in there, because that is such an accurate representation of what Nigerian women are. Nigerian women don't cheat. Quote me anyway. Anyway, now Pastor Zach Agu, he didn't say much in the movie, but obviously he was a very important character in that he was a representation of what an honest man of God would actually be. You know, he just loved God and he wanted to serve God, right? And he came to a point where he was doing that, by leading a church, but it just wasn't working. Some things weren't vibing. He found that he was getting caught up in the whole church business, and it just wasn't working. That wasn't what he wanted, and so he left it alone to serve God in other ways. Obviously, this character was used to make the point that there are other ways to serve God apart from being on the pulpit. That's not the only way to the ministry, right? Now, the only issue I had with character of Pastor Zach Adu was that when I saw him, my first question was, first of all, why is that pastor suit that tight? There's no reason that a pastor should be wearing suit that is that tight and he's tightening his biceps. And I know there's no rule that says that pastors have to wear baggy. There's no rule that says pastors have to wear just for this kind of suits. I get it, but you know what? In fact, yes, it's an unspoken rule. Okay, there's no reason why his suit should be that tight. And I think it's a thing with the actor. I don't know the actor's name, but I've seen him in a couple of movies. Yeah, he's an attractive man. He's very fit, and his clothes are always tight to his bicep. But I was like, they should have given him just for this kind of suit for this role. Let's know that he's a man of God through and through. But anyway, Rekya, oh my baby Rakes, I absolutely loved her. Honestly, I feel like Sam should have stuck to this babe like a bamboo, because she was so great. She was a go-getter, she was honest, she was kind. I just felt like she had this tenacity that I absolutely loved. They had such a beautiful friendship. They really cared for one another, and they understood each other in ways that other people did not, and they were honest with each other. I love that Rekya was always very honest with Sam, as opposed to Teju, who was not really, she would tiptoe around him because she loved him so much and didn't want him to go away. Rekya had no sense. Rekya was his friend. She would tell him when he was the problem, right? Now, Teju, Sam's wife, the good wife. The character of Teju is it's sad. It's a lot of things, and I think what's even more sad about it is the fact that she's such a realistic character. You don't need to walk far in any African community to see at least 5 women like this, right? Not necessarily through any fault of their own. It's kind of what women are created to be. It's the beautiful wife who sticks by your side and says nothing despite all your rubbish. She takes one for the team every time. She's the one taking one for the team. But anyway, Teju always loved Sam, right from when they were kids. And it was very obvious that she was in love with him, right? And I think the way Teju felt about Sam is the way Sam felt about Joy, which sucks. It's like the person where you love, the person where you need you, no love you. But anyway, she and Sam eventually get married. She sticks by his side. She helps him grow this church from scratch. She knows that he's cheating on her with multiple girls. She knows he got this girl pregnant, made her get an abortion, you know. She knows that, you know, he's still having this relationship, you know, with Rekya on the side. She knows a lot. She at some point finds a Canada document. She knows like he's planning to leave to Canada without her. Like, she knows a lot. She swallows a lot, you know, a lot from this man for him, and I'm just like, it sucks, and I hate seeing women be in that position where they constantly put their wants and needs aside for the sake of their family, for the sake of their marriage, because at the end of the day, you are half of this team. You know, you do matter. You know, you do deserve to not be the one constantly putting everything you want and need, you know, aside, even when you know this person is doing you wrong. I don't like seeing people in that position in general, particularly women, because it happens so much with women. Also, Teju reminds me of, you know, the wife in that story, in that book, Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad. I think it's the second story in the book, I forget what it's called. The one about the pastor's wife. It's almost the exact same thing. She knows all the rubbish she's doing, but she sort of stands in front of him and covers his multitude of sins. She makes nice with the public. She, you know, says that, oh, this girl's alive, and she knows they are not. She knows how husbands slept with this woman in the church. But anyway, I digress. I want to say though, the actor that plays Teju in the movie, I have like that particular scene where she finally confronts Sam. You know, she's like, I know everything you've done. I know everything. Like, the actress absolutely bodied that scene. Like, she ate, and then she was screaming at him, the veins popping out her neck. I was like, yes, girl, yes. Like, she absolutely didn't. I just love that. Now, Pastor Sam himself. Sam is such a witch, because the scene where he woke Teju up in the middle of the night, he's like, Teju, I've heard from God. God told me that I'm supposed to go into ministry like my father. He called me 3 times. He says, Samuel. I was like, the Nigerian might not get tired of lying. I'm kidding. Anyway, while Sam is this tragic, you know, wounded character, and we can understand where his pain comes from, I don't think we should give him too much of a pass with regards to some things, because at the end of the day, you know, the hurt and pain that a parent can cause is very real and can run very deep. But at some point, you do need to take responsibility for your life and for fixing the problem and moving forward in a healthy way, and not perpetuating cycles of abuse and pain, right? Because at the end of the day, with some things, it may not have been your fault. You may not have created the problem, but if this is your life, then it is your problem to fix. But anyway, now let's talk about the end of the movie, right? It almost seemed to me like the director ended the movie that way because he knew that his mommy will watch the film and she will slap him if he doesn't give all glory to God in the end, because the ending did not particularly make a lot of sense for me, right? We have this beautiful yet painful story about, you know, all these things that happen: Sam, religion, God, rebelling, this, that, pain, hurt. And then in the end, you know, when he gets out of prison, you know, he goes back home. There's this whole prodigal son moment, and I'm like, I'm sorry, that's all wonderful and fantastic, but where is the restitution for all the pain that Sam went through with regards to his father? Like, I was expecting to see some sort of apology from his dad, or at the very least, I needed to see a scene where Sam at least got to say his piece, at least got to scream at his dad, at least got to say, you know what, I hate you for all the things you did to me, like, or like something. But that was just kind of brushed under the carpet. It was as if they were just like, oh yeah, like Sam was hurt by his dad, and then he acted out his whole life, but he was wrong for acting out, so now he's back and his dad has forgiven him. His dad is the one that should be begging him for forgiveness in the first place. His father terrorized his life and soiled his view of God from a very young age, and I wanted to see his father be held accountable for that in some way, and there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing, and I did not like that. I don't say this with any judgment, but being a pastor is not an excuse to be a horrible parent. There are pastors who are incredible parents, like the best, and love their kids with the love of Christ, and really, like, it's just not an excuse, you know. And also, being a Christian, it's not an excuse to be a horrible parent. So you can't be slapping your child every day saying, I'm doing this because Christ, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. No, stop it. Like, that's not it. Like, anyway, that's all I have to say. No, that's not all I have to say. There's one more. I don't remember his name, but Sam's brother. I absolutely hated that guy. I hated him, and I'm not even sure why. First of all, I just didn't like his face. He looked like a snitch, and I don't know how else to explain, but he just looks annoying. You know, yeah, okay, no, actually, I know I didn't like him, because, you know, when he came to see Sam, he's like, there was a path that, you know, seems right to a man, but the end of his instruction. I'm like, are you shut up? We're not doing this slapping Sam every day. Like, at the very least, you should understand your brother's fight. Your brother is wrong in the things he did in never coming home to see your mom, in never responding to any of her letters, but his brother just seemed very annoying. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this movie. Yeah, thanks for watching if you made it this far. I'll see you in the next video. I don't know, like and subscribe.